What up, YouTube? Frisky Dingo here, getting back with you guys with another reaction slash review video. Today we're looking at the infamous backlash that Dave Chappelle is receiving for his special on Netflix, The Closer. And what can I say? I got to watch it over the weekend. I thought it was pretty good myself. I'm a big Dave Chappelle fan in the sense. Love his show, love his HBO specials. I didn't really see anything wrong with what he was saying in this special in the sense of morality and presentation and inclusivity. Nothing really bothered me overall. The only thing I could really say that, threw me off is just the tone of his Netflix specials overall. Recently in time, like many comedians who become older, they kind of get stuck with their mentality of the old ways and they can't move forward with new comedy into a new era. And that's something we're experiencing with Dave Chappelle. He's kind of reminding me of Bill Maher a little bit. Where he's basically getting mad at people and bringing his opinion to the forefront to nationalize this opinion about transgender and LGBT community, which once again, it's a comedy special. I understand where he's coming from in that perspective, but at the same time, I just don't think it doesn't make a good comedy special. These specials have not felt like comedy specials to me. They felt like Dave Chappelle getting on stage and having a political showdown of what he believes is right and wrong, which once again, it's okay. I'm a big fan of George Carlin. I remember these old school type of procedures when it comes to comedy special. The only thing I can really say is that I just hope that he kind of changes it up, because these topics are boring, honestly speaking. Like him speaking, trying to compare transgender and LGBTQ and all, that's not funny, honestly. None of it is really funny to me. Like, it's not actual comedy. It's just, to me, it just feel like the same thing with Bill Maher. I used to watch Bill Maher all the time, and then he starts to become this old guy whose the jokes are about, or his jokes are basically about now, oh, well, black people aren't graduating from high school, so, that's the real problem. The Democrats should focus on that and XYZ, and Black Lives Matter is not doing it. Like, stuff like that is just ultimately corny. Same thing with Dave Chappelle doing the whole transgender people have power and LGBT community is stalking me and all that. It's just really corny, because at the end of the day, that's what happens when you attack a community of people who go through certain things. And then even in this situation, he kind of used I have a black friend method on this whole transgender issue, which is in itself ridiculous. Like, it's like no different than a racist person saying, well, I have a black friend, so, and he says everything I said is right, so I'm gonna go with him. The same thing with this transgender issue. Like, oh, you had a transgender friend and their family supported you, so that means that it's okay for you to say those type of stuff, which ultimately is not. So, it was a good special. I loved it. The transgender stuff and gay stuff was extremely corny to me. It's something that I've experienced with older comedians like Bill Maher and Dave Chappelle. It's this weird thing now where they aren't moving, like their comedy isn't entering the new era. It's basically staying stagnant because they want to be those old people who want to be objectified to everything. If it's cancel culture, if it's LGBT community, if it's transgender, if it's generation what's the new one, Generation Z. Like, it's all these weird things that just aren't funny at all. And this is why George Carlin is one of my favorite old comedians, because him and people like Dick Gregory moved with the times, and their jokes became more of what is going on today. George Carlin in his best was talking about religion, politician, race, all of these different things. And these new age comedians, they kind of just become old guys who are just upset at stuff, so they want to get their point across, which once again, I'm okay with. Dave Chappelle, his old specials are cool, but these Netflix specials, I feel like they just need a little bit more of comedic relief in it and less of this, well, I'm an old guy, so I'm gonna, sit here and talk to 20 minutes about how gay people and transgenders and XYZ, and, like I said, he should definitely try to change it up. I do think in the near future he could probably have a couple more specials, aimed at real comedy, but I've always thought that this was the case ever since he came back from South Africa and he basically did his interview with Actor Circle, aka Actor Studio, and people started resharing that clip of him a lot, where he was basically talking about the intersectionality of being a black man and being in comedy, and him giving up the $55 million. And he seemed to believe that ever since then he is an intellectual on what he's speaking about, and I completely disagree. Because why? Because even in Dave Chappelle's height, he seems to forget. You left Comedy Central like right before 2010. You had 3 HBO specials back to back before you actually left. So it's a lot of misconstruing, around what he actually did and what he did, and what kind of representation he does have. Like, trying to compare himself to the transgender community, saying, oh, you have to get off the bus sometimes. Well, dude, you never got off the bus, because yeah, you left $55 million on the table, but the next year you went to HBO, leveraged that money that you didn't get from them, and used it on HBO. HBO paid Dave Chappelle $38 million for his comedy special that he did when he had the whole mustache era Dave Chappelle going on. He did that special, $33 million, not close to 55, but mind you, he did 2 specials with HBO, equaled out to $80 million. So it's not like you're not a part, like you're not some MLK savant because you said no to one contract. You still got up, went out in the real world, and still made money using the leverage that you accredited while being on Comedy Central. So at the end of the day, I just think the whole topic is just annoying. I hope that Dave, once again, he said he's going to stop talking about it. I'm going to be happy if he does, because I just think it's ruining his comedy in the sense his comedy is losing. It's like more or less like the special, like when you're listening to it, there was more moments where he made a joke and no one was laughing, and he just looking around. Like, just like that, like, and no one's laughing. So even to that point, if you're making jokes on your own special and people are hesitant to laugh or to not laugh, then that means one thing: your comedy isn't based in comedy no more. It's based on uncomfortable topics that people don't really want to talk about when they get to comedy specials. And even though this is a topic everyone should talk about, no one wants to go to a comedy special and talk about your opinion about transgender people. No matter how funny it is, there's a lot of people who still think that the transgender situation or the LGBTQ situation is a very very touchy situation. Even the same way that a lot of intellectuals handle Black Lives Matter, they handle LGBTQ the same way. And I personally believe the same thing. When you start to separate people and use tokens and all that, you're literally moving from the point. For example, right? Like, he's like, oh, my favorite gays are the Stonewall gays, where there's a lot of racist black people who say, racist white people who say, oh, well, I hate these new Black Lives Matter. My people are Martin Luther King. Like, he knew how to protest. He was a protester, right? Or I have a black friend and he's okay with what the stuff I say. He supports me. It's no different than what Dave Chappelle did. Oh, I had a transgender friend and she supports me and her family supports. So once again, just because of all those things happen don't mean that you're correct in what you're saying. So that's what I can say overall, that Dave isn't correct in what he's saying, and it's killing the vibe for me for his comedy specials. I don't feel like that we should have these giant talks and conversations about control and power when someone like the Baby, right? The Baby smacked a black woman, right? And then he shot a black man. So you're saying, oh, society can, if it's a gay transgender bathroom, it's a problem in society. But if the Baby kills a black man, or then that isn't catapulted to the top. That means gay people have control. No, it doesn't, because that has nothing to do with national issues. That has to do with black issues, right? We should be mad as black people that the Baby shot and killed a black man in Walmart or smacked a black woman, right? We should be upset about those things and basically try to fix that image, or try to show awareness to how that isn't right. But that's not the case, right? So you can't really sit there and say, well, oh, they're canceling the Baby, his livelihood, you can't kill that. None of that makes sense at all. And it just lets me know that this special wasn't really about it wasn't really about Dave wanting to do an actual comedy special. Like, it was about him trying to get out his opinion in the most comedic way possible. And that's my honest opinion about this special. It was really good in the sense of layers and the other topics that he brought up. But once he started talking about gay, transgender, all that, the vibe for me lost immediately, because honestly, you sound no different than, you know, once again, racist who goes up there and tries to, you know, justify their jokes on racism, or anybody else. You know, these are just certain things, like, you know, once again, you don't, it's not funny to say, oh, to, you know, you're gonna grow up and this woman died, right? And then she's gonna have a child, and then you're gonna tell the child, oh, this was the best father you ever met. Like, you know, people are gonna get mad at that. So for me, I don't honestly think sometimes Dave Chappelle thinks like this in real life. To a certain extent, I do think he thinks like that, but I don't think he fully thinks like that in real life. I think that there's certain aspects of comedy that he's really good at, and that's what we're seeing with these videos, excuse me. So hopefully, like I said, we get to see something in the near future, and hopefully we get a new comedy special from this guy. I really love to see another one, and hopefully we get something that's, you know, a little bit looser and a little bit more free in the sense of comedy, and not these stuff that are skewed towards, you know, transgender LGBTQ community, because honestly, I don't think that's comedic. I never thought, you know, once again, same thing, making it fun of, you know, someone, you know, going through issues isn't funny. You know, someone going through, you know, society issues isn't funny. So overall, you know, I just hope that we could get a OG original comedy special from Dave Chappelle. And like I said, I would love to get a part of it. So if I find out any more news on what's going on with the backlash, or if I hear anything else, I'll definitely see you guys in the next one.